Good. Welcome to the Town of Grange Planning Board meeting, March 19th, 2026. Our next submission deadline is March 26th, 2026 by noon. I want to repeat that. Our next submission deadline is March 26th, 2026 by noon. The next regular meeting is April 16th, 2026. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Kevin will be a voting member tonight. First item on the agenda is acceptance of previous meetings minutes. Any comments, corrections? Motion to accept.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. There'll be no public hearings tonight. First item on our regular business, I'd like to welcome Aisha, right? Anisha.
Yes, correct.
Anisha and Denise from MJ Engineering. The first item is 45 Vale Road, special use permit application for an accessory apartment located at 45 Vale Road in the residential flexible density RFD zoning district. 4.69 acres, grid number 6361-04-508329, applicant Robert Clemens, MJ Engineering. Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, if you could give a brief description.
Sure, so we're looking for approval for an accessory apartment above this permitted garage space. It's a 3-car garage, roughly 32 by 42. It's attached to the existing home by a mudroom. You can access the home through the new mudroom, through the old front door, or also through the garage. There's also a way to get to the backyard space as well. And there's a patio behind that. The apartment that we're seeking approval for above, you can get to it using stairs from the mudroom, or there'll be an elevator within the garage to get up to that space. That space has one bedroom that has a large closet in that bedroom, a bathroom. There's also a powder room out in the main space, a small little office, and then kind of like a dine-in kitchen area, and then a small living area space.
Okay. So, yeah, the application 3-car garage with in-law apartment above. I just want to go over. The building permit was issued 4/4/25. That's going to expire in 14 days.
Correct.
Okay.
The renewal has been
yeah,
placed. The renewal's been put in, we just haven't received renewal yet.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to go over that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I drove by on my way home, saw it.
So the big green monster.
Anisha, you want to go first and just go over?
Sure, I can go first. So your action will be a type 2 action tonight. If the board is comfortable, the board could classify the type 2 action and conclude the secret process. In terms of approval for the apartment, you will need a public hearing for that, so that will be a subsequent meeting. If the board is comfortable with what you presented tonight.
Thank you.
You guys got any questions on it?
I have to state for the record that I know the applicant, but it won't, I don't believe it's going to impact any decision-making. That's to be said for the record, right?
That's right, yes.
Okay.
What's the square footage of the house?
The house, I think, is roughly 3,500 square feet.
Is that the accessory apartment? Isn't it supposed to be a certain percentage of the square footage of the house? Did I miss that?
It meets it.
It meets it. Yeah, because I think you might be looking at the 1,500 square feet, and that includes the mudroom as well.
Okay.
Yeah, they had, in the letter, they had
Okay, then I missed that one.
I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but when I read it, I checked the math, it all worked out.
Thank you. Yes.
Everyone okay with making a motion for type 2?
Make a motion.
Motion second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so next steps will be,
So you're not scheduled for a public hearing tonight, so the next meeting that you're scheduled for will be a public hearing. At that time, the public will come out and share their opinions, and at that time, the board will decide where to go from there based on what they're hearing.
Do we have to serve anyone for that? Or is that-
You will receive notification from Sandra regarding the neighbor list to be noticed. I'm
Okay.
not sure procedurally they provide you with
Yeah, I don't know.
the letter,
I can
but she will receive.
contact you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And, we talk about, we need to put a sign on it.
Oh, right, yes, okay.
But I can talk to you.
I appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
So can we set the public hearing date tonight?
I am comfortable with that being said tonight because they have responded to all the questions we had. So it's up to the board if you want to set it for the next meeting, depending on availability on that agenda.
What do you guys think?
I'm all right.
Okay, so what's that date? April 16th. Motion to set the public hearing for April 16th.
Motion.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
You with the draft?
Yeah, there's an actual packet. You're gonna,
Great.
Yeah, I mean, on type 2s, we've historically done them together.
You'll probably call one of us because he's not currently here. Yeah.
If they already adopted this meeting,
Oh, let me
this
give you-
evening,
yeah.
it can be provided to Sandy.
Yeah, when you're done.
And she'll sign it and make it its final.
any other questions you have?
No.
I
Okay,
think we're all set.
you guys are okay?
I just
Yeah,
want to
they
say
have
one
been very
thing.
responsive.
I read the letter.
Yeah.
Why you guys are doing this, you should be commended for.
Thank you.
Well, I was gonna ask which in-laws, but I'm not gonna ask.
100%. I mean, that's a lot of work that you're
Has been a lot.
undertaking. That is, you should be commended for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're worth
We're
it.
excited.
Thank you
You
very much.
okay?
Yeah, they've been very responsive. We have no comments or questions.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you to the board. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Next item on our agenda, Daly Farm subdivision and SWIP. Project located at Knoxon Road, Titusville Road, in the Daly Farm Plan Development Zoning District. 129.01 acres, grid number 6360-03-099220. Applicant Daly Farms Property LLC, licensed professional CPL. Consideration of revised tree clearing plan. Hello,
Good evening.
how are you?
How are you? Good, thank you. So we're here tonight, I'm Andy Learn, by the way, from CPL. We're here tonight for just a modification to the tree clearing plan. We had previously requested the ability to clear about 9 acres for the townhouse, the access road and the first phase of the townhouses. Upon further consideration, we decided that it'd be better to clear the full access road, including the emergency access all the way out to the end of the property. It's actually a very slight reduction in the amount of tree clearing, so it's actually, yeah,
This
there you
one?
go. That's the one. So that, it's actually a very slight reduction in the amount of tree clearing, so it doesn't really affect the bond amount, or, like I said, the area disturbance.
So just so the public knows, the road up to Colleen Court, but not touching Colleen Court.
Correct.
Right. Yeah,
Yep,
because that's grass between the turnaround and the,
exactly.
right. Anyone have any questions?
So just to be, that's a difference in, you just want to cut less trees.
It's actually about the same. It's a
Okay.
very minimal, like
Do
300.
you have the first one they proposed in the,
Was it the last?
they were gonna clear where the 77 townhouses go, but they're gonna concentrate on the road.
Narrow
I
it
think it
down.
might have been December. Yep, there it is.
What's that? Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see,
So just put your arrow on the edge of Colleen Court.
That's right here.
Yeah.
Not me,
driving,
her.
who's driving?
I got it.
Oh,
Go
Okay.
ahead.
I was like, I don't have. It's my mouse.
So the turnaround at Colleen Court, this road will go all the way down to Titusville Road. Originally, they were gonna clear from Titusville Road in for the 77 townhouses, but now they wanna concentrate on the road up to Colleen Court.
Yes.
So that area was not in red before, now put the new one back up, the proposed.
What was the motivation behind it?
Here, Steve, come right over
Yeah, I'm sorry.
so we can capture your...
When we originally, thank you, Stephen Rieger, when we originally asked the board for permission to clear, we were thinking that it made sense for us to clear the first pod, where the first pod of townhomes are going to go.
Right.
But we realized that we have a lot of site work to do, and that probably we won't be starting construction of homes until the fall, when we can clear trees again. And so we thought we would concentrate on the road itself, getting that to grade. One of the important things that the board has required is that we put in an emergency access all the way to Colleen in Phase 1. And so we thought that to clear the trees and we need to do some grading, that at least we'll be ready for it. But we'll have to come back in before we do any of that. We're just trying to get the trees down now before, because we only have another 11 days before we run out of time.
Everyone okay?
Yeah.
So,
The only thing I would note is, well, two things I should note is that Tom Harvey from Renia indicated he was okay with the revisions. The bond we have references the planning board's approval of a plan on a date. So I'm just going to want to do an amended form that notes this amended date. Even though I realize we only have 11 days left, I would like the record to show in the bond that we had this amendment.
Do you need something from us for that, or?
No, I can do that tomorrow. I just
Okay.
want to clear that that's going to be forthcoming.
Okay.
Assuming you vote positively in the next 5 minutes. So.
okay. Motion, what will the motion be to accept the revised?
To accept the revised tree, how do you call it, tree restoration?
Tree clearing plan. I believe.
Yeah.
Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Just so, I want to reiterate something now that these meetings are going to be put on YouTube and live. I installed the traffic light at Gold's Gym and widened Titusville Road when the rail trail, the county highway, and parks and buildings had 3 commissioners at one time. It was during the time that I made the traffic light at Gold's Gym, the 3 positions were eliminated and 1 was created. You have a director of parks, buildings, and roads today. I worked on the Daly Farm. The tall pine trees I planted in 1986. I've worked on the Slate Farm, Cornell Farm, and the Daly Farm at the same time. I'm very familiar with this project. Originally you had the Daly Farm, you had the ASD property next to Gold's Gym, and you had the Davis Gravel Bank. The 3 properties were joined to create what you have today. So in the name of transparency, which is a word we're using a lot today, I want to be very transparent that I know an awful lot about this project. Every pretty much square foot of that property I'm familiar with and I know about. And I don't believe it's a conflict, and if anyone thinks it is, speak now. Anything else, Becky?
No, that is all.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, Holstead Farm Site Plan Special Use Permit Subdivision. Application for a multifamily consisting of a total of 144 units in 10 buildings, located at Titusville and Phillips Road in the Manchester Gateway Hamlet MHG zoning district, containing 152 acres, grid number 6261-04-735221. Applicant Carney Realty Group, licensed professional, Rainey Engineering. Discussion. Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
How's everybody?
Good.
Good. I'm Pete Sotero. I'm the engineer for the applicant, Ken Carney's here also tonight. So, am I ready to go here, or
No, whatever.
am I?
Someone close the folder?
What?
Someone close the folder?
It's right there, it's still there.
Yeah, I had it all open.
Oh.
I gotta turn it on. Which one do you want?
Yeah, layout plan's fine.
Which one's out?
Plan set?
Probably in the plan set, yeah, sorry.
Number
Oh, there
two,
we go,
plan
sorry.
set.
Plan set, yeah. And, keep going. There you go. That's good for now. Okay, thank you. So we updated some plans. We haven't been here in quite some time. I think the last time we were here was back in August when the board voted to circulate for lead agency status, and that, was done. And, in the meantime, we've been working on updating the plans. I wrote a pretty extensive cover letter that I outlined, all the various things that we've been doing, some of the, like approvals that we've gotten. So I think I'll just go through that very, very quickly, and then there's a couple items that maybe we can talk about. So as far as, the plan set, we updated the plan set that now includes a lighting plan and a landscaping plan. The architectural plans were updated a little bit more for additional elevation views of the various sides of both the 16-unit building and the 8-unit, building. And the floor plans were included with that. We will be bringing at a future meeting, once we make our next submission, we'll bring, materials and color samples for the board, to look at. So, maybe at some point here we can look at the architectural plans if you want to go look at them. As far as the layout plan goes, there was quite a few changes that we made to that. So we had a meeting. We had a meeting back in the fall with the county DPW, with John Andrews and the highway superintendent, to kind of go over Titusville Road and the new access that we're planning out, like the Titusville, also to talk about Phillips Road. So at that meeting, we discussed, the main interest coming out like the Titusville is, okay with the county. They are currently reviewing the traffic impact study that was done by our traffic engineer. So that entrance is going to include, and for this submission, we just basically noted what was going to be done. So there's going to be a left-hand turn lane into our site, and there'll be some associated widening, of Titusville Road. So once the county, approves the traffic study, then Colliers Engineering, our traffic light consultant, will start to work up the detailed plans for Titusville Road, the widening, and they'll be submitted to the county and also to the town for review. Now, that's, the main entrance. So then we talked about the southern access, where you have that very odd, and I don't know that it's completely shown. I think we have to do an insert, but it's not completely shown.
Shown on the Collier's plans, it's not shown in your set.
Okay. All right. So I think that everybody knows, and we're going to show it on the updated set. But the southern access from Phillips to Titusville is at a very acute angle.
Go back one, sir, on the top is you see it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Right there.
Corner.
Thank you.
It's the existing conditions. You got to scroll that map down a little bit.
Oh, okay. That's.
Other way. There it is.
Oh, right
You
over
can
there.
barely
Oh,
see
sorry.
it.
Oh, yeah, we
Sorry.
did do that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, very good. So what we had talked about with the county and with the town was reconfiguring that such that we pretty much agreed that it would just be a right turn out, right turn in and out. So that's currently being reviewed by, the county. Again, once they're okay with the concept, then we're all going to meet again with the highway superintendent, John and the county, and, we'll figure out, the details of what that's going to look like so that Colliers can
So you're
go
saying
ahead.
only the right to go north, whatever, up
Might
on
not
Titusville?
even be that. I think the county's preference is a
One-way, just,
right in only.
I think you might be right on that.
And I think the highway superintendent had no issue with that, except he wanted to make sure that there was enough traffic control that somebody didn't decide to barrel through there unimpeded. So it's a work in progress, but I think the intent was to funnel the one existing house there, to funnel that down to the new intersection.
Right.
And
right,
that's everybody's preference.
Right, that's what we want to do. And we're also going to, we had previously agreed that the developer would make improvements to Phillips Road from our new road connection south to where this new right turn in is going to be. And again, the details for now, I just put something on the map where we're going to tear up, the sub-base, whatever there, put down new sub-base and some pavement. But again, once we get together with John, the highway superintendent, we're going to work out, okay, exact details of what the level of improvements are going to be. So that road's going to be paved. So, the people that are currently on the road will be able to use it, come out to, the new intersection. So if you could go to the layout plan again and maybe hit on the top there. Yeah, there you go, right there. So the other change that we made, if you recall before, we had a circular cul-de-sac that was it was pushed a little bit further south. So we had been told that there's, the potential, and maybe they already have made an application, I don't know, for a potential project on the property just to, the north of us. So in our meeting with John and the highway superintendent, we all agreed that it would be good to move, the cul-de-sac a little bit further north, make it like an offset type cul-de-sac, so that if the property next to us developed, that they would have access to that cul-de-sac. Now, it would be, if that ever happens, then, it's our feeling that it would be their responsibility to improve the section of Phillips Road that we were previously talking about abandoning, which, we're not going to do that now. Improving that section of Phillips Road from the cul-de-sac down to where the new intersection is going to be. So that would be, if that project ever happens, that'd be something that they would have to be.
If I may.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
One of the things here is the county doesn't like the existing Phillips Road intersection that's down closer to the creek area at the north end. So the county didn't want any additional traffic there. So if and when that other development were to come forth, the county would prefer that they be pushed to this direction. And because they do have access to the existing Phillips Road, the county didn't want them monkeying with that other intersection on the north end. So this is a compromise. It shows that if this development can proceed without waiting for that development to make a determination, and that if and when that development comes along, they would probably be forced to do the same thing that these folks are being asked to do, which is improve the portion of Phillips Road from their site to the new intersection.
so this part of Phillips Road here is going to have to be improved?
If that development ever comes forward, yes, sir.
Which property are you talking about? The one north of that?
Yeah.
It's just north of that. It was called Paladin's Glen.
Paladin's Glen, that's
It was
correct.
here once before, and they've made noises like they're going to resurrect themselves. And it was, I think, 84 units,
Yes.
thereabouts.
Yeah.
And so that's a substantial amount of traffic that the county did not want at that northern Phillips Road intersection.
Now, just
That's this intersection here? Or,
no, where Phillips comes out onto Titusville on the northern end, because the site distance there is terrible,
So,
as you know.
so that development that you're talking about, it's long, it runs parallel to the rail trail?
Yes, sir, it does.
Now, where would that dump out? to the cul-de-sac and head down Phillips, or would they go through the
Well,
proposed development?
Ultimately, if there may be no cul-de-sac there, in other words, it would probably end up being, they'll probably short-circuit the cul-de-sac and make a direct connect to Phillips Road with their driveway. It's all going to depend on how that evolves. But right now, we can close off Phillips, these folks can proceed, and everything is in their control. It's all in their hands.
So if this Paladin's Glen goes through, and I know we start getting into all these scenarios, but what, if this Phillips Road, then the developers of Paladin's Glen is gonna be, is gonna
Going to
improve.
perform the same exercise
Right.
these folks are going to do.
Do we not get into the road being too close to the back of the buildings? Are we set back far enough?
In this district, technically that would be a front yard, and the requirements are extremely minimal for front yard setbacks, so technically it does meet the requirement.
Okay.
And it meets the same requirements as the opposite side of Phillips Road, which is an active road. So the only difference is you'd be a significantly increased volume through there.
Does this traffic study, and sorry if I'm
No,
asking
this
questions
is, I was gonna,
before,
because I was gonna go there, but go ahead.
the traffic study incorporates or,
Addressing
Yes, I-
addresses, thank you, Paladin's Glen and Halsted Farms?
Yes, it does.
Or the, not Halsted, Cornell Estate, whatever
Yes,
the
it
other.
does.
Okay.
The county was very exact in what they required, and Megan's engineer was as well. So it incorporates all the various activities that are going on around there.
Okay.
And Mr. Carney on his own told, like our traffic engineer, look, do a, appendix that basically has another traffic like analysis that, includes, the Palatines Glen, whatever the heck it is, like projects. So we incorporated that into our traffic, report. So, because again, we knew that this question was going to be asked. So.
Traffic seems to be the other hot word of the town of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, as part of that meeting with, the county, they had, like, informed us that they're planning to replace, the culvert that's a little bit like north on Titusville before you make the turn behind, the Page Building.
Yep.
And, we talked about, pedestrians and, the possibility of how would we get, or how could we possibly get pedestrians from our project to, the rail trail. Now, it would be nice, because we're adjacent to the rail trail, to just make that, direct connection, which when I first approached them with the project, they said, oh, that's fine, we'll give you a direct. Well, from, the terrain and the wetlands and all that stuff, that's just not going to be possible down there. So we are, as all this, evolves, we're going to talk about, pedestrian, access. Maybe there's a way to incorporate some as part of the county project. And Megan, and John, have rightfully brought up about, extending a sidewalk, like the Titusville. John, accurately, which I forgot about, a bus stop for, the children, a little parking area. So we are going to, incorporate, like a sidewalk and a bus stop. But again, when we meet with John and the highway superintendent and the county again, we're gonna go through all that and, and plan that out. So there's things that are still in the works, evolving, but we're making some progress.
That piece is going to stay travelable in between,
The Phillips Road section?
yeah, from the turnaround to the,
Yes, the intent is to leave that, we're not going to make any improvements to it, but to leave it travelable, which it is today, because if and when Paladin's Glen were to come, that would become the construction route, because you can't bring them out, in and out of that other intersection.
Right.
The county was adamant about that.
so from your new road in south, that's going to be one-way traffic, right where the arrow is.
No.
No, it's going to be two-way.
Yeah, because there's
The
a
only
house.
place one-way would be at the extreme south end, Randy.
Yeah, because
So in other words, any of those houses,
These houses here.
those houses.
Yeah, it's one way in, but you're going to, on the Cornell end, you're going to let one way in.
Just one way in, yes.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to, that's something we have to work on.
So if someone leaves your project and goes up there, they're only gonna able to make a right out
No.
if they go up to
Can't
the,
exit that.
No, you can't exit.
You can't exit that.
well,
So
that's
When
the
they-
point.
When they design that intersection, it's gonna have to be designed so that it doesn't encourage,
Well, that's what I mean, you're gonna almost have to have do not enter, right?
well, you're gonna have to configure it because the other people have to enter.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the ones that live there, so
Yeah,
it's.
these are the
it's-
houses, so they have to be able to
Yeah,
get
that's
here,
what-
so.
so basically, we have to figure out a way to prevent our people from coming down and making, a left.
That's what I'm worried about.
Right, we have to, right.
It's like a schoolhouse.
There's ways to do that, it just hasn't got to that point
Right.
yet, because we gotta sell the highway superintendent on the one-way in first, and he was gonna reserve his judgment until he saw a design.
Let me just say one thing. Just so the public knows, anyone watching this video, there's a project starting from the rail trail behind H.G. Page Lumber, coming over to this project called Paladin's Glen, or it was called Paladin's Glen, and it was a potential of 84 projects. This project that we're reviewing has nothing to do with that, but they're making provisions so potentially, if that were to happen, this road would get constructed properly. At the same time, if you come behind Page Lumber and you come up to the intersection of Old Manchester and Titusville, there's an unnamed tributary that runs under Titusville Road. That culvert is potentially going to get replaced this year by the county, and it will be a major dig right there. That has nothing to do with this project, but it could happen this year, and the county highway will be doing that project. And then the entire length of Phillips Road is under consideration for potential reconstruction or the change of flow of traffic. Thank you.
You hit it all. All right. All right. So I just have a few more things. So one thing we have not done yet is we have not submitted a stormwater pollution prevention plan. I met with our office today. Now that the weather, has cleared, I'm going to be going out to the site on Saturday. The surveyors had previously staked or flagged the areas of where the proposed stormwater infiltration basins, are going to be. There's a lot of flags out there because they had to mark all the, the lines of where our archaeologists had to go out and do all their little digs as part of their, studies. So I'm going to go out on Saturday, make sure I can find everything, that it's going to be clear to get in there, or we need to get an excavator. We're going to put together a testing plan, run that by John, and then hopefully very, very shortly we'll be out there doing our testing, for the soils. And, we need to have a preliminary stormwater pollution plan so that the planning board can at some point consider a seeker, determination. I think once we get sign up on the traffic from the county, I think most everything else is taken care of for seeker purposes, except we have to submit a preliminary SWIP. I guess the last thing before if we want to take a look at the elevations, well, actually two last things. So, wetlands, so we did, as part of the new DEC laws, as you all know, we had to contact them to see if they were interested in taking jurisdiction over the wetlands that are on the site. And, the wetlands that are on the site are all down by the rail trail. So they're down by the rail trail. They're on the east side of, the rail trail where we're going to do, we're really not doing much of any surface work there, but the plan is to do a directional drill from our pump station underneath the rail trail, which the county has already said that that's acceptable. Our attorney who is here tonight is working with the county on an easement agreement and language and whatever has to be done in order to put that in place. So But there is a small portion of wetlands on the east side of the rail trail. Now, these are all designated as federal wetlands, like at one point, but again, now there's a new process. So DEC
We're to
just...
slide these set of drawings up, I think 3 sheets, one more maybe.
Yeah, there you go, right there.
That
So,
is, the wetlands are all delineated there on the,
like right around, there you go, right there. Yeah, so that is the wetland line on our side.
to frame that, the square on the
Pete, you have a
left-hand
mouse.
side.
Oh, I have a mouse too?
Right
that
there.
works?
Square on the left-hand side is a pump station. That line across is where they proposed the directional drill. They're going to connect to a manhole out at Titusville Road. So that puts it in
Probably gotta turn it on.
Knoxville, I'm sorry.
It wasn't, huh?
Try that.
Oh, now it's on.
There you go, go ahead.
Okay, so, thank you, sorry about that.
That's fine.
Okay, so my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Okay, so here's our pump chamber, and that's what we're thinking is now, while we're here, John, had brought up a comment about, the subdivision line goes right like through there. So I'm gonna take a look at to see if maybe it's just as simple to revise the subdivision line to make sure that the pump station is all on, like our property, rather than trying to get an easement from, the Pages. And the reason that, we moved it there is because, okay, so here's the wetland line that's been validated by the DEC. This here, where my mouse is the 100-foot like buffer. So I looked at, the grading for this area, so we're keeping all the grading outside the buffer. And over in this area, there is a very little piece, very, very small piece, of wetland that, was flagged here, and I think we may be missing a 100-foot buffer on that side. But I'll look at that. But there's only a very little piece here. So we're going from our pump chamber, and, again, I wanted to move, the pump station outside of the DEC wetlands, so we didn't have to deal with another permit. So we've already talked to, over here, this larger property here is owned by the Page family, and we talked to them about acquiring an easement through, the property to tie into the town trunk line, which is up along Knoxville Road. Now, we need a few more, details on, the town system, but, again, those are items that we're going to get. So, this is at like an angle like this because I wanted to get, the pump station out of, the buffer and not have to deal with them. Also, the Pages obviously wanted the easement along, the property line, so it doesn't impede anything that they may want to do with their property in the future. So we had to stay in this line here, to kind of hug, the property line. The property line goes this way and down here, but up here, we're hugging it. So to move the pump station over here, we had to basically come at an angle, and then, we'll go with an open cut from here up to where we're going to go tie in. So, the wetlands have been flagged, validated. I submitted, a few copies of the signed DEC wetland map, so you have that in your file. The last thing before either John, or Megan want to make comments, or we look at the architecturals, is we've also been working with the town in terms of status of water and sewer. Obviously, that's a big thing for our project. So we are within the water district. We are not within the sewer district, but when we had initial meetings way back in 2024 with Wanda and Alan Bell and some other folks at that point in time, they said that there was capacity. We'd have to make a petition to get into the sewer district. We've since found out some other information, and also the fact that the town had switched engineers from CPL to MJ Engineering, MJ Engineering, I had a discussion with them, and again, they're trying to go gather all the historical information on town water and sewer to get up to speed so that they can work with me on things that, need to be done. So, and so we've been told by the town that, look, give us a little time to get this information, evaluate it, and then we're going to get back to you, in April, and we'll have a meeting or we'll have a discussion, because I can't do anything I can only work on water and sewer on our own site, laying out the water lines. Today, I laid out the sanitary with the inverts and such, but, you got to connect. So, we don't have that information yet. The water system, I need to know, flows of the hydrants because these buildings have to be sprinklered. So whether there's enough, capacity to provide fire flow, we don't really know that yet. Do we have to provide a tank, and a pump on our own site? We don't know that yet. So that's information that we're hopefully going to get in April, so that we can start to, advance water and sewer. I can put that together, make applications to the health department, and start to go move that along. So water and sewer is kind of hanging out there until, the new folks get a better handle on, where we are with that kind of stuff. So, I don't know.
I got one question though. How many gallons of capacity for the existing sewer are you guys going to use?
We are looking for,
17.
right, so so the project is going to be 2 phases. And phase 1, we have, here we go again, Pete.
Sorry.
Use your mouse. So,
With memory, it's a little under 18,000 gallons.
so the phase line, I don't know.
I thought it was.
But the phase line,
Per
Per day.
per day.
yeah, the phase line is basically,
For each phase,
For each phase.
18 for each.
yeah, about 18 for each phase, yeah.
Just remind me, how many stories are each of the buildings?
I'm sorry.
How many stories? Two.
Yeah.
So when we get to this is kind of a educational question for me at least, is I'm sure we have a limited capacity for our existing sewer system, right?
That's correct.
So we're doing however many units here and then for the other proposed one, and so when we reach that capacity, and then we have to expand it, where does the expansion?
Everything that you're saying now is what we will be talking to the town about. And I have a little history because I was the engineer for the Daily Farms project for, I hate to say, probably 15 years or so until I left, CPL. But, so, I was involved with the sewer, so there's X amount of flow of current, customers, and then, I know that there's certain developers who have paid money into reserving, capacity, and we don't, know what those, agreements are, how much capacity is left, yada, yada, yada. There is.
Just from a timing kind of thing is, we've had town center's been going on I'm 57, seems like it's been going on for 50 years.
About 26.
I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of, I think, what you're asking.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Basically, as Peter said, there's existing flow, there are folks that have contracts to reserve flow, and there's a plant with existing capacity. My understanding is that in order to accommodate some of the contracts plus build in extra, they are looking at expanding the plant now, and therein, I think, lies Peter's issue, is pulling all those final details together so that we know. It's like a game of musical chairs. You don't want to be the last guy standing. And so right now, MJ is sorting through all that, and will be able to determine where all those flows are allocated.
So then when we've got existing contracts for things that are going to happen in the future, and the contracts are written in the past, and I'm sure costs for the last, just build anything in the last 5 years, are the contracts that have been signed in the past going to cover future stuff? I'm just
That's a question for greater minds than mine, and they populate the town board.
So, first thing I want to tell you, there is no wrong question. Don't ever not ask the question.
Well, I'm just thinking that we
But I
signed
know-
contracts a long time ago, and now we've got all this future.
Those are good questions. Those are really
Yeah.
good questions.
So, Kevin's new to the board, but I want to reinforce, there is no bad question.
It just seems a little scary, that's all. Not that I'm afraid of anything, but it just seems
It's
a
not
little...
scaring, it's just,
Well, I'm
there's
just saying.
challenges.
All right,
There's challenges.
no such thing as can't.
There's challenges.
Just so the public knows, the Titusville sewer plant is located on Overlook Road. And that's because of the history of it. It used to be up by Scenic Hills.
Right.
It failed, was abandoned, and the new plant was built on Overlook Road, but it's still called the Titusville Sewer Plant. And like when LaGrange Farms came in, I asked the same question you did. How much capacity is left in the plant? I could list a lot of projects that are in front of us and potential projects that are coming. And this animal has to be wrestled with.
Because it seems like it's roughly between it's like 15 million per million gallons a day to build something.
Well, they're going to consider all that, and the capacity of the plant is going to be considered in all of it.
And, the users are going to have to pay for that. I shouldn't say it.
Pay for the use of it.
Right. So the developers are going to have, so the extra expansion. Now, the one positive thing, which doesn't make it as scary as you might think, is that when they first built, the plant, they built the plant for treating 500,000 gallons a day. But smartly, which most of us engineers do when we build sewer plants and know that probably going to be expanded, the headworks for the plant that brings in all, the sewage and distributes it to, the treatment modules, the headworks for the plant was built to accommodate 1 million gallons a day. So the headworks for the plant is set up for the expansion. And I don't want to oversimplify anything, but so now to expand it, you're adding modules, of treatment to get that extra 500,000. I'm sure it's a little more complicated, but you're not starting from scratch and rebuilding the whole plant. The headworks where everything comes in is sized for 1 million. So it's just, the treatment trains, they have to be added. So it's,
Gotcha. All right,
so
thank you.
it's not a total rebuild of the plant. So I don't want to, I'd like there's a couple things I had, I would hope maybe if you want to take a look at the architecturals, I wanted to talk about, I had asked for the board to consider a waiver of locating trees. I think it's over, 8 inches or something like that? So, but before we go on, I don't know if Megan, or John I don't want to.
Who wants to go first?
I will go first.
Go ahead.
So first I'll just say that the CPL traffic engineer did review the traffic impact study. He had one outstanding comment that was extremely minor, just missing a couple figures in the report, but other than that he had no issues and felt that the report was accurate to the site. Going through here, as Pete said, you circulated for a lead agency over the summer. I don't believe that you ever declared lead agency after that, as I don't believe Halsted has been back in front of you. So that's an option for you to take tonight. I have some outstanding technical comments. One thing that I wanted to touch on was the landscaping plan. If you could scroll to that one.
Yeah, this is it, right?
Yeah. Okay. So overall, you can see that the applicant has provided landscaping, the parking lot landscaping. No, I can't see.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, though. The parking lot landscaping has been added. The interior parking landscaping requirements of 15% in those lots where there's 25 or more parking spaces has been met. There is one parking lot area to the north, in between those two north buildings, that has 24 parking spaces and no landscaping. You know, I'm requesting that the applicant provide some landscaping, even though technically they don't meet the threshold for the 15.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah, of
percent.
course, yeah, of course.
The applicant has, by and large, stuck to the tree planting schedule that the planning board had approved in the past and is on their website. You know, we're also requesting some additional landscaping closer to the buildings, especially on the sides and fronts of those buildings, other than just the trees that have been provided. If the board had any comments on the landscaping plan?
We are going to add more trees. We're going to add more trees. We're going to look at, as we get into, you know, the new road from our development out, like the Titusville is, you know, we want to also do something there, but, you know, like at this point, we tried to just concentrate on, you know, the site. So it was just the first, like, pass. There, I mean, it can certainly be updated. And I hope you don't ask me what all, you know, the plants are and you know, the trees, because I didn't do it.
So, you know, as Pete just discussed, they're going to be dealing with that proposed public road area. There are streetscape standards in the Manchester Gateway Hamlet that they will need to meet. Street trees, lighting, sidewalks, etc. Can I just ask why barbed wire was proposed?
Well, I knew you, I knew you, no, you know, like, I knew you were going to ask that. So, we put the barbed wire up there because the pump station is kind of in a wooded, out of the way, like, area, and there's a lot of expensive, like, equipment in there. So that's the reason for, I mean, unless it's outlawed in the town, but it's just kind of in a, you know, isolated, like, area. I mean, if the planning board definitely doesn't want the barbed wire, I'm sure we can figure out something else, more cameras or something.
I was just going to ask, is that going to have the remote camera on that? You know, and a lot of those that we do have, you know, remote camera.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're going to have like security down there, yeah, I mean, and, you know, lighting. You know, the updated plan that I'm going to do, similar to what I did, you know, on Daily Farms, we're going to have a little site plan for just the pump station area that's going to show where all the components, the pump station, the valve pit, where, you know, the lights are going to have some short, you know, like lights,
Right.
just to provide lights for the operator. And then we'll get into, you know, the security stuff. John rightfully mentioned that we need like a water line down there, you know, for flushing and stuff like that. So,
Right. But like motion activated security camera on that area.
Yeah, we can do that. So, you know, again, I don't, you know, the barbed wire, and again, honestly, it could have been just a detail that our office had and they put on there, and I didn't really catch the barbed like wire, but I know when Megan brought it up, I just thought it was in an isolated area. But, you know, either way, if the board doesn't want the barbed wire, that's fine, we'll figure out something else.
It's up to the board. I just was pointing it out. I don't know that we've seen barbed wire in my tenure here. But, you know, if you feel it's necessary due to the isolation, that's totally
I mean,
fine.
you
Just
know, like
pointing
a
it
pump
out.
station is a really attractive place that people want to get into, you know, and look at now, so we really wanted to protect it, so. No, I'm serious, whatever, it doesn't matter, we can do, you know, whatever.
All right.
My reference is the tower up behind the old Page Lumber, where they have it fenced off and the barbed wire on top. Is that what you're proposing, something like that?
I'm sorry,
So
Mark, where
there's
was that?
The tower up on top of the hill, the cell phone tower, has barbed wire on top of the chain link fence? Is that
Okay.
what you're,
Yeah,
something like that?
yeah,
It's a common detail for utility infrastructure, as Pete says, especially if it's in an out-of-the-way place. There are alternatives to it, but, you know, some people landscape around it, but then that affects security as well. So I think the answer that Pete's given is that something we'll have to work through is the correct one at this point in time, and it's going to be, you know, in the long run, it may be advisable just because of where it is. You know, it's by the rail trail, even though there's wetlands, you know, people wander off that rail trail all the time. So it's going to be one of those things. So again, it's not a critical detail at this juncture, but it is one you need to keep in the back of your mind.
You can think about it, we can
Yeah.
like revisit it, it's not like we're gonna be done
So it's
soon.
a chain link with the wire on top?
Yeah. And it'll be black. I don't know that we put like black on there, but it is gonna be black. I gotta write that down.
So that was just something to consider. I had a couple comments on architecture, but before we get to that, as Pete noted, they've requested a waiver of showing significant trees in this site. To my understanding, it's a heavily wooded site. I'm not opposed to you granting that waiver. I would request that the applicant show a tree line, a proposed tree line of the cleared area. But that's up to you entirely.
I'm gonna walk it again on Saturday. I mean, I've walked the site several times. I don't remember any real big, you know, significant like trees, but I'm gonna walk it again, so,
You mean like a proposed clearing limit line?
yeah. I mean, we're gonna show that for sure. I mean, we
Better
obviously,
show that eventually.
yeah.
Right.
So I mean, maybe if that's something you wanna hold off on making a decision on until I go out and maybe there's
Yeah,
some,
maybe,
maybe there's some big 36-inch tree that the applicant might say, geez, I mean, if that's not gonna be in the way of a building, or maybe we can move a little something to, you know, save something really significant. Again, I don't remember anything out there, but why don't you I'm gonna go out there again on Saturday and take a look.
and then on the lighting and the sidewalks and the landscaping, are we going all the way out to Titusville Road with something?
That is a requirement.
Yeah.
Once the bus stops and the school and the,
Yeah,
Once you get a handle on those issues, yeah, you're going to have to,
right.
because that's not listed yet.
no.
That I
Yeah,
see.
right, right.
From the traffic flow standpoint, we talked about, the road between buildings 4 and 5 was something that the fire department was looking for, or emergency access.
Yeah, they
back
wanted
of
to
the
be,
property.
yeah, to try to get it kind of around.
Is there ideas about helping slow down traffic? I don't know, if speed bumps or dips or,
You know, one thing we could do is, and I've seen it before, we've all seen it, is where we have crosswalks, maybe they could be raised crosswalks, you know, they kind of have it, kind of come up a little bit.
yeah, I just worry about.
No, and that's a good comment, and I think,
People moving.
you know, and you brought that up before, too, and that's, you know, a valid comment. Now, one of the things that we might do, and maybe I'll preempt one of John's comments, is, if you see this piece down here, so, there's I don't know, I think it's about an 8 acre or 7 acre piece, like existing now here, that's owned by the Pages. And this piece now is zoned residential. I looked today, it's RFD. So with, you know, the right-of-way going in here, you know, our surveyor had put for this piece here, which is about 1.2 acres or so. He showed a land hook tying this remaining area here on the south side of the new road to this northern piece. And John, you know, had, you know, questioned, hey, you know, I think that when you do like a road like this, that it automatically creates like a subdivision. And I do remember this coming up, you know, in my tenure in some of the towns that I'm in. So the long and short of it is, we talked today with our attorney, looked it up. Yes, it does create like a subdivision. So this So this piece here is going to have to be labeled a lot. Now, in the RFD district, with having water and no sewer, you need 60,000 square feet. So right now, this is roughly 53,000. So we're going to have to find a little more like area. One of the things that I thought, and I just thought about it like today, not sure if it's viable or not, but maybe taking this access and moving it a little bit to the north, assuming that, and I don't think there's a problem with sight distance, but maybe bringing, the road in and having a slight little bend in here. Again, that would be subject to the highway superintendent, like agreeing, and John, but, doing that, being able to get the 60,000 square feet might also help, because it wouldn't, as you come in, it wouldn't be a straight shot all the way through. You'd have a little, like maneuvering to do before you got into, the site itself, and then maybe we could look at the raised, like, crosswalks that you see, like pretty common. So, so that's something that we're going to look at.
While we're on roads, it may be more paperwork than what it's worth, but I'm going to ask anyway. I think it was Steve, I think Roy has brought it up, a couple other folks have brought it up about the proximity of the northern section of Phillips Road to Building 2. And so I almost wonder, especially seeing that that's not going to be developed into a later date, does it make any sense at all it kind of curves to the east towards Building 2 just slightly on the drawing? Is there any benefit to making that curve go a little to the west and add a little bit of buffer between what Phillips Road will be and Building Number 2 to address some of the concerns?
I think that's an excellent idea, and I think we should.
Yeah, sure.
I think we'll talk to the pages about that, because I think that would really help do what we talked about before. If that ever gets developed for that other project, gives a little bit a buffer to the buildings, being that and I don't mean to speak on behalf of the pages, but they've always been agreeable on this project. So that is something that we should go look at.
Okay.
Yes.
And I guess from my standpoint, I'd rather see that than monkey with that access road, because you start to introduce curves and other things, and it gets a little iffy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And I'd rather work with the applicant, because they've got a storm drainage facility in there that predominantly handles what is now going to be town road, so it's going to need an easement anyway.
Yeah.
I think there are some benefits that they might need a variance, but I would rather see them go the variance route for a 53,000 square foot lot rather than the 60,000, and balance this all off. So I think there are some things that need to be addressed and look globally, but I think your idea is probably a little better one in terms of, pushing it around, and since we got to redo that road anyway.
Right.
And it might benefit, but I'll leave that to them, because that's the Page's property and their project, so.
That's a good comment, though. We'll look at that.
So I guess Megan is turning it over to me. There's there's basically, I think, 3 or 4 items I just need to bring to the board's attention. There is talk of phasing here, but right now, the proposed area of disturbance is about 7 acres. That has to be maintained under 5 acres. So they're going to need a stormwater phasing plan. I don't know whether it matches their phase line or not, but they've got to take that into account when they're doing their design. And they will need to very clearly, and you've heard this, me say this before, outline what has to be completed before they move to that next phase on the stormwater. So that's going to be one of the issues that has to be taken care of. Pete did address the need for actual field testing, and this unfortunately has not been the winter for it. And now that we're in spring, everybody's looking to get on the board, but it's going to take some time. There are some property issues. Pete outlined one with the pump station, and it's important, if you look at the grading plan, they do a lot of grading around that pump station. So it's not just the station, it's the grading that they would need, even if it's a temporary easement permit. I would prefer it be on one lot, but that's
Yeah, I think
neither
we're
here nor
going to
there.
shift, over one, John. That makes sense.
We realize that the stormwater plans are incomplete, but all these basins are gonna need maintenance. They had done a preliminary grading plan, but they're gonna need to be able to get into these basins to do maintenance. And that's always an issue, so they're gonna have to plan that into their grading and their layout plan. As Megan said, the landscaping, but I think Pete addressed the subdivision about those two parcels. I think we beat that one to death. I think one of the issues that we've had numerous discussions about, and it's still like a gray area in my mind, is what the school district's going to do here. And where the school children are going to be dropped off, where they're going to be picked up. And when you have a development like this in today's day and age, every mom and pop is going to want to take their kid to the bus stop. And so now all of a sudden you've introduced, we maybe need some pull-offs or some temporary parking areas. Do we need a bus shelter for the kids to, stand at? So I think the plans for that road are going to change somewhat unless and until, maybe they need a cup handle so people can pull in and turn around and go back to that has to be developed, and I would like the board to weigh in on what they think, but I think Pete needs to do some more homework before we have that answer.
Yep.
And then, I understand the water and sewer issue, but they are significant issues, and we can't let them fall by the wayside. And, we understand the town has picked a new engineer. It's going to take some time to get their feet under them. And, but that kind of hampers where we go with this one in large part. But other than that, a lot of my comments had to do with tightening up the drawings and tightening up the design. I think the lighting plan has some glitches in it that need to be resolved. My own personal opinion, and I'm never a big landscaping guy, but I think even this one is a bit on the sparse side, especially in terms of the two buildings that are on the existing roads and providing screening north and south and kind of enhancing the entry into this facility.
Yeah, right here.
But again, this is early. He did, there is an effort made to landscape it, but again, I think it just needs to be pushed a little farther along.
We just, we wanted to get back before the board. It's been like a while. We wanted to let you know all the things that we were working on, what's been going on, updated some plans. So, until water and sewer gets worked out, my guess, if we get the SWIP done, what I'm thinking is, maybe we could submit the SWIP and the erosion control plans when we get them, and because I think that was the last thing that we'd need before they could consider seeker determination. So
I'll defer to Megan on the seeker determination and Rebecca, but certainly if he gets a SWIP done and we get an erosion sediment control plan that makes sense and addresses the issues, we can certainly take a look at that.
I typically wait to recommend a determination until we've at least got a little bit better of a handle on the water and sewer issue.
What do you think of that, Pete?
well, water, we are in, the water district, so I'm going to say that the town is like obligated to provide us, with water. Sewer, if we need to, I don't know, maybe for seeker purposes, if we need to get some kind of a preliminary letter from the town, I don't know. We'll have to go.
You're trying to get in the sewer district, right?
Yeah. Kenny, you want to?
If I could say.
Sure.
Good to see everybody again. When, in 2002, when the Manchester Sewer District was formed, it broke off from the Titusville, the Manchester Sewer District still flows into the Titusville plant, all right? It named future connections to the sewer, and one of which was Halstead Farms. So it was part of, I'm not sure if it was part of the map planning report, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But, so it was envisioned at the time that these were future connections, but I think as we discussed earlier, Kevin's point, that we have to see where we are in terms of what we have now, what's coming in, and then how you go toward the future. So we've done this in the past. We just broke ground up in Rhinebeck and dealt with similar issues, working with the town and then working with the village to get into their water and sewer district. It doesn't seem as complicated here because, like I said, when the Manchester district was formed in 2002, it envisioned these areas. So, but I agree, we have work to do. It would be helpful, if you're okay, to lead agency. All right?
Yeah, I have no problem.
If I may, usually what ends up happening, they are in the water district. They are obligated to be served. The main issue there is where's the point of connection and what are the impacts that need to be developed in making that connection. Right now, Pete has shown it right down at the end of...
Phillips, there's a,
at the end
well,
of
I'll
Phillips.
use this plan, so there's, even though it's not on
Yeah.
here, but there's an existing hydrant right around in here.
And I don't know what supplies that. So
Right, exactly.
and he shows it running down that road and into their site with a meter pit. That's typically enough, but we would need the town's water and sewer engineer to sign off on the point of connection. That would, from a seeker standpoint, that would give you an idea so then you know what the impacts are. In terms of sewer, there's two levels of impact. Pete's got to get from his site to the town trunk line. So point A to point B, and he's got the DEC involved, he's got the Dutchess Rail Trail involved, he's got a third-party owner involved. So in order to close seeker and identify the impacts associated with that, you got to have almost not an approval, but a concept approval from each. You'd probably like to see a letter from the county saying, yes, we're okay with you doing a directional drill under the rail trail to be followed by an easement. You'd need DEC, and they've been a pain lately to everybody.
Don't say that.
Why would we need them doing a directional drill?
I've had them render an opinion on a directional bore and how far you had to be from where you start and where you end. And so I'm just laying it out there.
Okay.
And then you'd need some type of confirmation that the easement that is being proposed is acceptable to that owner. And then, again, the town would have to opine, yeah, you can connect to that manhole. Then the second bite of this whole apple is the capacity issue. And that's beyond the two of us, the planning board and the applicant. That's a town board matter. And so you'd need something from the town board basically saying, yes, we have the capacity, and yes, when it becomes available, we'll put them in the district. But those are things that need to be developed before you can really close seeker, because they all have impacts associated with them, and you need to make sure those impacts are properly mitigated or don't create any significant adverse impacts.
We're good with all that.
Okay. Just so the public knows, that was Ken Carney who spoke before, and this is Pete Sotero, the engineer.
And we haven't, I don't think I've been asked to identify myself either. My name is John Andrews.
Yep.
I serve as engineer to the planning board on certain matters.
Go ahead,
Rebecca Volk, Planning Board Attorney.
Megan.
Megan Zaptowski, planning.
Very good. And Sandy is our planning board secretary. So,
Lead agency.
Lead agency.
yeah, declaration for lead agency.
Yeah, so
Do I have
motion to declare yourselves lead agency.
Yeah, motion to declare ourselves lead agency.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So, I know you have other items on. I don't know if you want to take a look at the architecturals, or you want to do that in your leisure, or wait till another time. I mean, it's really up to you. I know you got other items.
Is it in the submission?
Yeah, it was in the submission, yeah.
We'll probably look at it and then discuss it at a future date.
All right, we'll look at it, and
Yeah.
you coming back next month?
No.
Okay.
Why not?
So I just have one more.
Well, I mean, if you want us to come back to talk about, the architectural, sure. But if you're looking for
No,
water and sewer.
that's up to you. No, one more thing I want to talk about, so the public knows. We had talked about multiple public hearings on this project. Are we still, because at one time we were going to abandon a section of town road, and that's like hardly ever done.
Yeah, we're not doing
It
that.
wouldn't necessarily be multiple hearings. We would coordinate the notices so all the items are heard in the same evening.
Yeah, I just
But
want the
the
public.
notice that has to go out has to be
Right.
timed correctly.
I just want the public to know there will be a public hearing on this project,
Right.
and it will include a lot. It will include Titusville Road, Phillips Road, the project. So you will have an opportunity to speak about this project.
Okay.
All set,
Good,
everybody?
Kenny? Okay. All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Good night.
Next item on our agenda, Grace subdivision, 6-lot subdivision located on Titusville Heights Road in the residential flexible density zoning district, 16.33 acres, grid number 6260-02-718721. Owner, Karubai Incorporated, licensed professional, Lawrence J. Podgy, PEPC. Discussion regarding request to proceed with infrastructure development. Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Christian Podgy, for the record, the engineer representing the applicant for the Grace subdivision. So yes, we are here seeking permission to start with the construction of the new town road and associated drainage. While we button up the other approval conditions, we received final conditional approval for the subdivision in January. We are working with the planning board's legal counsel and the engineer to get the, again, the resolution of approval conditions addressed, including the drainage district creation, bonding, easements, and things like that. So we're kind of in the throes of that. The project owner is looking to take advantage of the construction window that's coming up. He has a contractor lined up that's ready to go to start doing some of this work. The town code does include provisions to allow for this work to commence prior to filing at the owner's own risk. That's just subject to planning board approval to allow them to do that. So again, we're here to discuss that with the board if you have questions. Just to be clear, I know that there has been some conversation between the applicant's attorney and the town's attorney relative to this, and we're happy to continue the discussion tonight. Just to clarify things, we're not looking for any relief from town performance bonding requirements. Part of the calculus that's going into this decision for the owner is the bond, in that if permitted to start with this work now before filing, that work would be done at his own risk, and whatever he is able to complete prior to being able to file, that work would not need to then be, whatever was completed, that work would not need to be bonded. There's a minimum bond amount that the town town code requires of 25% of the total construction cost of all the public improvements. So if in the event that all of this work is done prior to filing, at the time of filing, a performance bond of at least 25% of the total construction cost of those improvements would still need to be posted with the town. So we understand that. We're not looking to, again, for any relief from the bonding requirement. It's just looking to, again, take advantage of the construction window, and as a byproduct of that, the bonding responsibility would be reduced somewhat at the time of filing. So we're still working hard with the town's consultants to try to get to the point where we can file. We'd like to file as soon as possible. Once we do file, we understand that we would need to post the bond for any remaining work, and that no building permits would be issued, obviously, or could even be applied for until the map is completely filed and those lots are officially created. So,
Who wants to go first?
I think I will take this one. So the board is in receipt of a memorandum that I put together regarding this to kind of guide you through. The request came in under section 20324 of the town code, but that doesn't really fit quite right because that code section permits the planning board to give an as of right or an at your own risk approval between preliminary and final. It's right there in the words of the code. And actually that finds its origin in New York Town Law 277-9A, which indicates the option that we always refer to as the build it or bond it. You build it before you get final approval, or you bond it at the end. That being said, just laying out the background, that doesn't necessarily mean that the applicant is prohibited from doing this. However, having a discussion among the consultants, it would be our recommendation that we would need a written agreement covering the manner of construction oversight and inspections, particularly given the fact that we are an MS4 and the SWIP regulations that came in the 2000s. Bonding needs to be done regardless. There is no build or bond sort of option for that. That needs to be bonded under your code. And I would note that the applicant here did post a restoration bond to permit tree clearing and test wells, which at this time isn't ripe to be returned because I believe some site stabilization hadn't been completed. However, that amount could be rolled into the performance security for the stormwater after your engineers provide you with an appropriate quote for that. We would need terms to lay out the inspections by the town. That normally is kind of wrapped into other review at the time of final. And we would just indicate that the town highway superintendent should review this and give his approval before the planning board gives final sign off on this.
And I'm just going to piggyback on what Ms. Balk has indicated. I care not. The old standard, as she said, used to be build it or bond it. However, the stormwater issue is a big issue. So technically speaking, they have a SWIP that is approvable. They just need to submit the final version and get sign-offs, and we could actually issue an MS4 acceptance on that basis. However, under your code, as Ms. Balk indicated, there's a stormwater bond required. If you start building infrastructure related to stormwater, you have to have a bond. Now, knowing where this is going, we could set it a little differently, or you could recommend the town board set it a little differently to cover this situation. But that's probably the primary driving factor. And then the other thing is to piggyback on what Mr. Podgy just said, we haven't agreed upon a total bond amount yet. So we do need to complete that process because 25% of what number is what number. So we need to come up with a total bond, figure out what they want to do. If we lay it out properly, we can identify, what comes off. In other words, clearing and grubbing is 3 acres and they're going to, and that's a $15,000 number. Well, you take $15,000 out of the bond when it's done, and they can come back. What we would do is reduce the bond before it's posted, because your code has some other funny provisions. But I think the key thing here is we have to address the stormwater issue. We have to have some sort of written agreement so that, if you remember when we did the at your own risk tree clearing, there was an agreement. Same idea. And the last and most important thing is the man who's going to be ultimately responsible for this has to sign off on allowing them to start construction at this point in time. But the decision, it's up to you folks. We can start those wheels rolling and go from there.
I'm just taking it all in.
So the terms of the agreement in my memorandum on page 2, they're at the bottom, summarized there for you.
Right, I
I know
see.
I went through those fairly quickly.
So we have the written agreement, the bond, and have you met the new highway superintendent, John Wisman? If
Yes.
not, okay,
I believe I have.
okay.
Yes. Not
Shaved
recently,
head,
yes.
shaved head.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you have a copy of that? Thank you.
So what can we do tonight? Make a motion to proceed with the written agreement?
If you folks are in favor, you have to empower her to do what she got to do.
Yeah, so in other words, I think you would authorize the planning board attorney to begin working up an agreement in accordance with the memorandum that I issued to you.
Everybody okay with that?
I'm good with that.
So we're just
He's just looking to build a road.
the road and the drainage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, I'm okay with that.
And I know this is a little, not very customary, so I appreciate the board's consideration, and obviously the consultants' work in putting this together and figuring this all out, so
Tree
thank you.
the tree clearings occurred already, or?
The trees were cut last year, so this is another reason why we're asking. It's just that the process had taken a little bit longer than the applicant was anticipating, so.
Who determines the bond? That's the town board.
Um,
Say the amount?
The amount, Mr. Podgy prepares his estimate, I go
Okay.
through it, revise, add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and when we agree, we post it, we present it to you folks. If you review it and find it acceptable, then it would be,
Okay, so we just
ultimately
need
goes
you
to the
to
town board.
put this in place so that you can follow the
Mhm.
steps.
So the motion will be to make a written, to allow the town attorney to make a written agreement to,
In accordance with the terms outlined in in the memorandum that was issued.
okay, do I have a motion?
I'll motion it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So that covers the written agreement. Do we have to do a separate one for the bond? That'll,
Not yet.
that'll be in it.
Yep.
And if you remember the tree clearing bonds, they posted a fairly substantial amount of money, about $84,000. And one of the requirements in that, in order to get the money back, is they have to complete a SWIP and get the SWIP in place. So as part of this, before they can start any land disturbance activities, they have to get a SWIP in place. So if we play our cards right, we might be able to temporarily roll the $84,000 and say that's enough to cover the basic stormwater management and just kind of pinwheel one to the other, and then we'll work on the main bond so that they know what they have to work off and where they can go from there.
And the highway superintendent's agreement to all this is on its own, or it'll be in?
We're going to have to go chat. We're going to have to go chat with Mr. Wisman.
Yeah, we'll essentially, I mean, typically in the past, what's been done is the engineer or I coordinate, and then we indicate to you that we received approval. I don't know if the new highway superintendent may be inclined to do his own email, but it's not a formal process. We'll arrange for the discussion.
Yeah, I'm just going through it because we have a new highway
I will
superintendent.
approach Mr. Wisman. He's been on the phone.
So do we have to take an action for that, or no? Okay, so that covers the written agreement, covers the bond, covers the highway superintendent.
Yep.
Anything
And most
else?
likely in the agreement, I will be formalizing the highway superintendent's approval in that document as well. So all those really work together as one step.
Okay.
This all makes sense, and we agree with everything that.
Anyone on the board, any questions?
I'm good.
Good?
All good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next item on our agenda, Rolling Meadows subdivision. This application received conditional final approval of the phased layout on July 18, 2024. The board granted extensions, then granted a 6-month reapproval of conditional final approval on July 17, 2025, which will have expired on July 18, 2026. The board granted a 90-day extension of this reapproval on January 15, 2026, which will expire on April 15th, that's tax day, right? 2026. The applicant is requesting one 90-day extension of this reapproval. Hello.
Hello. Here we are again.
You can come up to the microphone.
Dan Guerin from ABD Duchess.
David Bartolo.
The project manager.
How are you?
We'll
Good.
start with David.
I'll give you guys a brief update as to where you are. We were here last month. We got the approval to clear the trees. We posted the money. We cleared the trees. Things have been done. We made great improvements. Fortunately, we were able to drop everything while the ground was still frozen. Being mindful of that, everything is down. We're going to start the chipping process and doing what we have to do to finish the stabilizing of the site once weather permits us to do that so that we don't make a mess, because we've been fortunate not to make a mess. So that's the plan, and we're moving forward with that. We'll have that done and done.
And at this time, we're only waiting for the town attorney to finish the petitions for the drainage and the sewer.
I believe that is still with Mr. Kamadas from the Vanderwater firm, last I knew, who is handling that.
So at this point, there's nothing we can do to expedite the process. We're waiting for the town to finish the petitions, and then we'll come back.
I'm just writing all this down. Okay, so anyone on the board have any questions? I'm okay. So, motion to, do I have a motion to grant the applicant 190-day extension?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Yes, good night. Anything else for end? Motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.